All right, so welcome to the first Head Over Heels podcast, Building Better Kids, Better Families, and Better Communities. If we're going to tell the true story of Head Over Heels, there's only one place to begin. Before there were thousands of children, before multiple locations, competitive teams, and before any of us knew what Head Over Heels would become, there was one woman with a dream. That woman is Gail Boyce. Thank you for joining us today, Gail. And of course, there would be no Gail without Ron, and we'll get to that story somewhere around halfway through this podcast. Where I want to kind of start is, who was Gail before gymnastics? Like, how did gymnastics become part of your life? I know you're from Boston, so obviously the story starts there. So how did you get into it?
Actually, I wanted to be a cheerleader when I got into public school. And so my mother signed me up for this program, gymnastics, which had 5 minutes of cheerleading at the end. And that's how it all started.
Interesting. So we're all very fortunate that that's not the route you took, because there wouldn't be a Head Over Heels gymnastics. Might be Head Over Heels cheer,
Right.
but you know, at least we are where we are. So obviously you got inspired to teach. Where did that come from?
In that first program that I started in, there weren't a lot of teachers around, so they started training 14-year-olds on their team. You know, so you assisted with classes with another coach.
Nice.
And that's how I started to
So you
learn.
got mentored by somebody, and then you got the bug.
Exactly.
So what made you believe that gymnastics could become bigger than just a sport?
I think just over the years, going to, different clinics and, education for owners, I learned that, that it really could be
A business.
A business, exactly.
The business of children.
Oh, yes.
So your journey to New Jersey, you opened the first Head Over Heels in 1982, correct?
1981.
1981, okay. And where did that begin?
Well, the first business was on 79 in Morganville,
Okay.
and it was 2,700 square feet, and it
Small.
was where they fixed garbage trucks. So we had to clean it up a bit.
Yeah. And it's now, you said it's near where the new fire station is.
It's right behind the fire station in the strip there. Yep.
Wow, is the building still there?
I believe
It is?
Oh yeah, it's still there.
And it's
Actually,
auto body
the
shop,
guy
right?
that actually worked, his name was Frank Radcliffe, and so the whole floor was greasy from all the vehicles being done there.
Yeah.
And there was a plastic roof like inside there, and mice were running around it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I tell the story about how you started though, like with your mom and dad, which I want to throw something else in there too, which amazed me when we were talking about this. She was 11 years old when she thought she wanted to own her own place.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
So you knew
I
you
didn't-
wanted to own a business?
A business, yeah. I wasn't sure it was gymnastics at that point.
Sure.
But, yeah. Well, my dad was self-employed. My grandfather was self-employed.
So you had the
just-
business bug from a little
Right.
kid.
Mhm.
Well, it obviously worked out well for you. So that leads me to one of my questions. When you opened the first Head Over Heels and you said there was grease and mice everywhere,
Right.
how many people said you were crazy for doing this?
Pretty much everybody. Except my parents. My parents didn't think I was crazy, but the landlord thought I was crazy.
You want to do this here?
Right.
Was
You know,
probably their
well, I
question.
walked around and I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Well, you saw past the grease and the rats,
Right. Yeah.
which anybody who's in this business has walked into many warehouses and goes, I can make this work.
Right.
We all do it. So at that point, when you were in there with the grease and the mice and people telling you crazy except for mom and dad, did success seem attainable?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so nothing was going to stop you.
No.
All right, so how long were you in that auto body shop with the grease and the
Quite a while until we moved to White Oak Glen. I don't remember what year that was actually.
so it's probably about 5 or 6 years at least?
Yes. Yes. Until
Okay.
we filled it up. We needed to move.
Okay,
If we wanted to keep expanding.
well that's always the good problem that we all run into.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you just mentioned, White Oak Lane, and that's where you and I met, and that's where Ron and Gail met as well, if my facts are correct. Isn't that about the same time?
Pretty close to it. It was like around 95, I think, when we were opening up Middletown is when
Yeah,
we started working together.
right, because I remember I walked in January of 1995. I remember our interview as if it was yesterday. I actually looked in a newspaper ad and I saw Head Over Heels, and that's when we met, and we met in that little office. And oh, God love her, the receptionist. What was her name?
Oh, God, I just was talking about her the other day.
She was awesome. But
You
for
tell it
her,
very older.
yeah,
Oh
the
my
name
God.
is slipping my mind.
Yeah,
She
me
was
too.
awesome.
Yeah,
We'll
she
think of
was
it.
awesome.
It'll come to us later when we're
Yeah.
not thinking about it. And so I had never taught, I'd never coached before. I was a former gymnast, and you obviously took a chance on me.
Florence.
Florence. That's right. I had a blank for a second,
Right.
but yeah, Florence was awesome. So before we get into my coming on board, knowing that you moved multiple times, and we're going to jump forward to jump backwards. Which move? Well, for everyone watching, she started out on Route 79. Then there was 109 White Oak Lane in Old Bridge, and then 139, I believe, White Oak Lane in Old Bridge, just right down the road. Then you moved to Bordentown Avenue, and then Cheesequake Road, and then in there also expanded to Middletown, and then later on we added East Brunswick. So of all the moves, which was the hardest?
I know which one was for me,
All right, fair. Either way.
and that was Cheesequake. Going from Bordentown to Cheesequake, because we had 3 months when we were going to start paying double rent, and double rent was not an
remember.
option.
Yeah,
So for 3 months, I was there 7 days a week,
around the
12,
clock.
14
Yeah.
hours a day. I mean, there was times I got home 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I was back there at 7 in the morning. I actually lost weight, and I wish I had that tracker, because it was 22,000 square feet.
Oh yeah.
And I wish I had that tracker of somebody speeding up them walking, because, I mean, all of a sudden I would need a wrench, and I realized I had to walk clear
other
across
side of the
other
building.
side of the building.
Well, that
But,
was
I mean,
also like we designed that from the concrete up.
Correct, because it was meant to be 5 separate buildings, so we
Right.
had all the plumbing in the ground that we had to deal with, whether it was for the pits or for our bathrooms or our party rooms. I mean,
Right.
everything had to be put in, it was all situated based on the plumbing that was in the ground.
I remember we went back and forth a dozen times on the pit locations because of the tie rods that were going underneath the concrete.
Right.
They could only go in certain places. It was
Right.
like, well,
Yep.
here's this, everything else can move around it, but we
Yeah.
can't move those.
Right.
We didn't have a choice.
And to look at that place in 3 months, that went from a warehouse to an unbelievable
Absolutely.
school. I mean, we had everything there. It was really, when I look back at it, I was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Well, that kind of goes into my next question was, were there moments where you wondered if we'd survive? You know?
No, no, I never,
Yeah.
I never
You never lost faith.
Never lost it, absolutely not. Everything was full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we were always trying to get better, no matter what it was, you know, and that was just one of those little part of the
100%.
game, you know.
There was times you thought you might die, but we would always survive. There's two different things, you know, like being on the ladder at 2 o'clock in the morning painting a ceiling versus, you know, some other stuff. But
Piece of cake.
but yeah, you know what? Your generation, and I'll even argue my gen, we were wired differently.
Yes,
You know, we just did it till we got it done.
absolutely.
You know, put the challenge in front of us and you figured out how to knock it out.
And stay positive. You know, I mean,
Things
hard work. I don't care what you do. You work hard, it'll work out.
100%. Yeah, and you can make all the excuses in the world, just get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no
We
doubt
didn't
about
have a
that.
choice. So another thing is, we kind of touched on it very briefly before. In all the years I've known you, I can honestly say it's never been about gymnastics. It's always been about development. You know, so when did you realize that you weren't teaching gymnastics?
Pretty early on, you know, just seeing that kids going out with a smile on their face and really weren't able to do gymnastics.
Right.
You know, but to see kids that probably were never going to be gymnasts learn things, you know, coordination and just
Right.
hand-eye, foot-eye, all the different things besides some life lessons, you know, like getting on a high beam for some of these kids is
Scary.
really hard, you know,
Yeah.
and to see those accomplishments meant the most to
Yeah.
yeah,
Fall down, get back up.
right.
Socialization, communication, advocating for themselves. These are all life skills that we teach through gymnastics or
Right.
ninja or dance or whatever we do. You know, but so if someone were to ask you, what does Head Over Heels really do? How would you answer that?
I would go right to teaching life lessons. That's the most important part of everything we do.
Yeah, and it's transferable to life.
Absolutely. It is.
You know, and I know from when Ron came in, you know, you've made several comments over the years we've known each other. It was like, you know, these kids evolve into things they never thought they could become. You know, I mean, you get very passionate about this, almost
Absolutely.
more so than
Yeah.
Gail does.
Yes, true.
You know, I mean, not that she doesn't, don't get me wrong, but if you get Ron going, like, he'll talk about all the positives, you know, so
Right.
here's your moment, go
Well,
for
I
it.
have to tell you, I was introduced to the sport in a couple different ways. The first time I was introduced to it, I was a baseball coach, and I coached Little League for like approximately 12 years. And all of a sudden, I started working with some of these kids, and some of these kids were outstanding. And my kids were very good ball players.
Right, your own sons.
Right, my own sons. But these other kids seemed like they were another level, okay? I mean, faster, stronger. I find out that they're all former gymnasts. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, like that.
So you were sold on it being a foundation sport, right?
Without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And then Gail took me to boot camp with Jeff Metzger, and that totally changed my life, changed my whole thought process about a lot of things. And I was so thankful for it because it opened my eyes to all children, you know, no matter what they do. And I saw the potential, and not only that, but I loved the business model. You know, that's what was so cool, because Jeff was the kind of person that didn't hide a great idea. He wanted to share great ideas. So you look at, we were never jealous of another gymnastics school. We wanted them all to succeed,
Right.
because we knew if they were succeeding, the kids were succeeding. You know, and that's what it was all about to us. You know, so all of our decisions were based on what was best for the kids, not how much money is it going to make us, or how is it going to change our life. How's it going to change their life?
Right.
So it
and
made every decision easy.
all
you know?
those outcomes are a product of doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
You know, and shameless plug for you, Jeff Metzger. So you know, and Frank Saline and all the guys.
All of them, absolutely. Great people.
Absolutely, they're all good friends of mine as well. So I mean, I have nothing but respect for all of them.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to jump into now where I and subsequently Ron come into the picture to kind of round this out a little bit. So I remember, but my question is, do you remember interviewing me back in January of '95?
Not really.
But I guarantee you remember how bad of a teacher I was.
The class teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't hire you for that.
Oh,
No.
yes, well,
Actually,
he
initially
had
I
to
was.
teach classes.
I had to
yes,
teach
he was
classes.
teacher's class.
I thought it was for the boys.
It was for the
Yeah.
boys team,
Yes.
and I begrudgingly taught my classes, and we figured them out. I think one of the funniest moments, chasing that little kid Spencer around the gym in that preschool class, and I ran into your office and go, Gail, I need help. I'm literally chasing this kid around the gym, tripping over the cables, and I came in, and you were just like, you just shook your head, you came out, and like that was kind of the end of me teaching classes, but you obviously saw something in me, whether as a coach, and then we evolved into a professional relationship. But in that moment, because I had a similar reaction when my own son started working, was how fast did you want to fire me as well when you realized like
Well, I wanted to get you off classes. Not necessarily completely
Correct.
fire you, but you just...
I was not made for it.
You were not made for it. No.
No. And there's no shame in that. You know what you're good at. You know what you're not good at.
Absolutely. Nope.
But I think the connection that really stuck the most was, about 2 weeks after, I tell everybody the story, it was a week after I started working for you, Rich Spencer and Kelly Gallagher and Bruce, they all try to take credit. I met my wife at Head Over Heels. My wife Sarah was a gymnast on the team there. And so January 27th of '95, we had our first date. And yes, I remember. And obviously the rest is history there. She's still very much a part of our lives and the business. But did you ever think in that time that we'd be sitting here some 30 years later, in this space?
No.
Nobody
No.
did.
No.
Nobody had that on their bingo
No.
card.
But she actually, speaking of Sarah, because Gail distinctly remembers Sarah as a gymnast too, and I know we had this discussion. She was an extremely hard worker and a happy kid, and that's
She was quiet, but she was always,
yeah.
She was always quiet, always got her work done, and
Right.
like
Mhm.
where the drama was, she stayed clear of the drama and just kind of,
Right.
you know,
Smart
still to
thing
this
to
day, still to this day. So obviously I've been with you since '95, you know, helped with some of the moves, the relocations, you know, I still remember putting the tumble track in Middletown, you know, with the springs flying everywhere across the, you know,
Yep.
probably, in my opinion, one of your best business moves was the Middletown location. And,
Oh, yeah.
and still to this day,
We used to call it the mothership.
great location, you know, I mean, you had the foresight in '96 to open that location. What brought you to Middletown?
Actually, I was looking for a new location, another second location, but just the realtor that I had been working with brought me over there, and actually, I was the third gymnastics program to look at that building.
Really?
And they all thought, it's too expensive, we can't do this. And I
Their
just
loss.
was like, it looks great to me, like, there's no poles, it was,
No.
it had everything we would need, so
Yeah.
I was willing to give it a shot.
And that's kind of where Ron enters the picture.
Yeah, with that 32, 33-foot ceiling there,
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when it came time to change a light bulb.
Yeah, because you had no problem with ladders.
No, absolutely not. No. I'd take that 40-foot ladder by myself and go up there and do it.
For those tuning in, Ron's background was in commercial painting, you know,
And residential.
and residential,
And we
but
had
high ceilings was never a problem for Ron.
No.
You know, he was very comfortable up there.
overcame it.
And obviously general contracting, so it really kind of helped us, you know, grow and evolve.
Right.
You know, with your knowledge, it made our lives easier.
Right. Well, my dad was a union carpenter. I had a brother-in-law, a union electrician. I mean, we had everybody.
You had everybody at a
You know,
fingertip.
so it was all.
So when you first met Gail, did you have any idea what you were getting yourself into?
No, what was really cool is we really started out as friends. That's what was really cool. I mean, we really did, and I liked her. I appreciated her. She's an extremely proud person, very shy. Like, I knew this was going to not be easy for her because she does not like talking about herself. And when people meet her and they hang around with her, I could tell that they have no idea what this girl's accomplished. You know, like, they'd be shocked to know what she did, and she did it with grace. You know, and she really she was easy to be with because she was there for the right reasons, just as you were there for
Right.
the right reasons, and that's why we
Yeah.
you know, stayed together and were part of a team because you know we get it.
Yeah, I mean, we also grow, mature, evolve, and you know,
Absolutely.
Right,
everybody changes,
yes.
and they have to have the opportunity to change.
Yep.
You know, what surprised you the most, Ron, about the crazy world of gymnastics? I know you tapped into it a little bit before when you talked about your sons with baseball and seeing, wait a
Right.
minute, they have an advantage. But like,
Right.
if you had to put your finger on it, like, what about this crazy world like drives you?
Well, what got crazy is how we expanded. It became, you know, not just head over heels the gymnastics, but then higher level gymnastics. You know, like when we took on Anatoly. I mean, Anatoly was just like a
World
savant,
class
you know?
power tumbling coach,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And then you know, then it became a dance program, and then we moved into a ninja. I mean, actually, even the boys. I know you know this very well. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, she was so dedicated to kids. The boys program lasted way longer than you know.
We tried.
We
We tried.
tried to bounce it out of there, but Gail was all about the boys too, even though it was certainly not profitable,
No.
you know, but she cared about the kids, you know, and that's,
Unfortunately,
But-
business, cost of real estate.
Right.
I mean,
but,
Right.
so what really, I mean, the whole package is what really, you know, we just kept trying to get better and better and better, and I sensed it, I felt it, I lived it,
yeah.
and it just, when you wake up in the morning, it's just like another great day, you know,
Yeah.
because you're an important part of something, you know, and as I used to tell people, I'm in the kids business, and
Yep.
does it get any better than that? I don't think so.
No, and you would even talk about, because and Gail, you'll appreciate this, we don't have real jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is my temporary job to get a real job.
Right.
You would get angry when people would say that. I remember in staff meetings, be like, this is a viable living. This is a real job.
Yeah.
You know, yes, it's part-time. It may be a stepping stone for some people, but you can make a life and a career
Absolutely.
out of this crazy world.
And I think coaches are actually born. You know, as a matter of fact, I wish Carly was still here. I hope she remembers this the way I remember it. I remember when Carly was, maybe a junior in high school or something like that, and she was teaching classes in Middletown. And I observe people all the time, whether it's a kid or an adult coach, and I watched her for a while, and I was very, very impressed how focused she was on the kids, and nothing was distracting, and I could just see the intensity and like I said, the focus. And I remember walking up to her when maybe she was a junior in high school or something, and I asked her what she wanted to do when she got out of high school, and she really said, I really don't know. And I remember saying to her, I think you'd be a very good coach, and I said, you should think about it, because you can actually make this a living,
Yeah.
And
here she is still to this day.
And I'm really proud of her, of the whole family. I was actually in the lobby, working in the lobby in 1995 when Jackie walked in there and signing up, and we weren't even open yet, and signed up, and that's how.
And she's still
the
here.
whole
to this day
Armenti
too.
family, we grew up right before our eyes,
That's so cool.
All great kids too.
And that plays into we are a family business.
Right.
From your family to my family to their, like that. It's all about that. Yes, it's a business. Yes, we're trying to always do better, be better, but it's about the families.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing them together. And well now, Gail, I want to ask you, behind the scenes, what are some of the things that Ron has done that nobody really realizes?
Nobody really realizes. I think probably that would really just be how he, supported me, and made me realize that, I could keep going and doing better and making sure I felt comfortable and, making progress all the time, just that little support.
It was a lot more than a little support. Because I know when I brought the East Brunswick expansion over, he was like, hell no. And Sarah was like, hell no. And you and I were like, hell yes.
Well, and as I told you guys, I know why you're saying hell yes, because you knew you weren't going to have to fix it. It was easy for you guys to
all right,
say that.
guilty. But we knew
I'm
we
like,
had
wow,
you.
you guys, I said, if I was you guys, I would feel the same way.
Can be
Who's going
great.
to go in there and rip these bathrooms out and fix
Right.
this and fix that,
Yeah.
Well, you were the first one in to start it all.
Yeah.
You are, but I know when I consulted Sarah and you mentioned to Ron, you two, it was 2 against 2. It was, and we were like, we're doing it anyway. I think the decision was made.
Honest to God, I was just throwing out a protest, but I was all over it. My mind was already.
You were designing it before we had the
From the
architects.
moment I walked in there, I already knew the changes I wanted to make.
Of course.
So it was pretty. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really did.
But I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't say that you definitely voiced, as did Sarah, you guys are nuts. And honestly, without Sarah supporting me and Ron supporting you, we wouldn't have what we have today.
No, absolutely not.
And to kind of segue a little bit, I coached your son, when he was a gymnast, for a couple of years actually. I think Robbie,
yeah.
And Andrew dabbled in it a little bit, but
And Ryan dabbled in it a little bit.
Yeah, I took classes.
and now your granddaughters, you still have one active and one has now segued into softball, and I know.
And she's very good at the softball player.
I've seen the videos, and it all stems from what we do.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids who all grew up in the gyms. Jacob started, then he played basketball, and Julia played volleyball. Jordan now soccer. And Jacob and Julia are now running 2 of the gyms and facilities. So it's transitioned, and it's going to continue to evolve. And at some point I'm going to pass it on and let them run with it.
Right.
And when I was coming back from Ohio, I remember the phone call I made to you, things happened, and you literally said to me, come home, I've got something for you.
Yep.
And that was kind of the beginning of stage 3, where I didn't know if I wanted to be in this world anymore or not. You brought me in, you allowed me to kind of find my groove again.
Mm-hmm.
I fell back in love with it. And then when East Brunswick came along, we partnered,
Yeah.
and then when you were ready, you know what, Jason, I'm good, and that's where we were in November of 2022, and that's the condensed version of 1981 to 2022. Here we are, location number 4. We've got number 5 coming down the line. My kids have stepped in. Your kids are still in the gym. Grandkids are still in the gym. You know, and in all honesty, we wouldn't have what we have today had it not been for that little girl who started cheerleading and realized gymnastics was better. No insult to any of the cheerleaders out there, but our passion obviously is gymnastics. So I mean, I really just wanted to thank you personally and professionally for what you started and what you've entrusted in me to continue and build upon. You know, and one question I want to kind of wrap up with is, where do you hope Head Over Heels is 25, 30 years down the line from now? Both of you.
You wanna go first?
Well, we did have this discussion a little bit, and it's kind of, first of all, we hope it's there, because we know that,
My kids are counting on it,
that
trust me.
business is, business change now.
Sure.
Everything's changing so fast, but, we hope the best for it always, and we hope that it still means to kids then what it meant to kids, now. We hope that it's a place where it makes them a better person and they're happy and look, I mean, like 25, 30 years in it, that their kids or grandkids will be coming there, you don't know
You get
what's
it all
gonna
the
happen,
time. I came here as a kid and they're still
Absolutely.
coming back.
Yeah.
And I would just like to see it as you are already doing, just keep expanding, keep growing.
Yeah.
That's business.
That's business.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, you took very calculated, for lack of a better word, risks.
Yes.
And the one thing that I always admired, and when people talk to me and what was like working with Gail, and I will tell everybody, the smartest person in the room that you would always underassume.
1,000%.
And your business acumen that you never bragged about, and I know you're very uncomfortable hearing all this right now, but the God's honest truth. I mean, you had a brain for business, and you took advantage of it, and you partnered with great people, myself included, shameless plug, and the one thing that I take pride in, and I think I kind of mimicked after you, I surrounded myself with people better than me,
Mm-hmm.
and I let them do what they're good at.
Right.
Right.
And that's a learned skill, by the way. She
It
had to
is.
learn that.
Oh, my ego wouldn't have taken, she's gonna laugh, but my ego wouldn't take that when I first started. I knew everything,
Absolutely
couldn't tell
not.
me anything, but that's part of growing and shedding your skin. And once you realize that you don't know everything and that there's people around better than you, that's when you become a leader.
Well, and it's interesting because we're going to bring up someone that I've known for 30 years and tried to lure, because as you know, it's always the person, not necessarily, they don't have to know gymnastics. They just have to be a quality person, skilled, and that's Miss Dawn. I tried to drag her in here for so many years,
Yep.
and when I finally felt that little hook and reeled her in, that was a turning point for, and
Yeah.
Gail even says that was a turning point for
Yeah.
her, because she had somebody with her that, really,
You gotta have good people that you
the
can
right
trust.
people,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
And I've insulated myself with a great team. I mentioned my own kids, obviously. We have Dawn, who's a fixture, Amanda, Carly.
Right.
Then, I've got Hannah, Jackie, Katrina, I know I'm gonna forget people, Heather, Lori. I mean, there's so many
Many
people
people.
make this
Mhm.
machine work,
yes.
For sure.
and when someone's kind of, not doing well, whether it's personal, physical, mental, emotional, there's somebody there to support and lift and fill in the blanks,
Right.
and we've built a team and we continue to grow and build that team, and the one piece of advice any future leader is going to take is know that you don't know everything and find someone who's better than you in everything. And then take credit for it.
Yeah.
And sit back and let it all
Let it
just
happen.
kind of.
Let it
Yeah.
happen, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I know I've said this, Gail's heard me mention this many times, but one of the things that I got out of Jeff Metzger's boot camp was the 7 unifying principles, and I used to apply them all the time in almost any situation, because if you do that, it'll not only help your business, it can help your marriage, and help your relationship with anyone and everyone,
Yeah.
Now
But-
that you mentioned Jeff, I have to say, he always said, that always stuck in my head, you gotta get the right people on the bus with
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
And that's just what you talked about.
it's, yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Everybody's got to be rowing in the same direction. If you got
Yeah.
someone rowing the other way, put them in a different boat.
Yep, absolutely.
And drill a hole in it.
Right, and put people in a position to succeed, not fail. Yeah, I mean, that's a key factor. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make somebody bad if they're a lousy class coach.
No.
I mean, it doesn't make them bad at all. You just move
You
them
gotta
on to
put them
where
in the
they're going to
right
succeed. You know, I
place.
mean, that's it's that simple. Because
Good
it's the
people in the
character
wrong
and the
job
quality.
Right.
doesn't make
Exactly.
them a bad person.
No, it doesn't.
So the last question I'm going to ask is, you know, when people think of Head Over Heels, what do you hope they immediately think of?
Think of Head Over Heels, I'm hoping they just think that it was a place where they felt happy and, you know, always walked out of the gym with a smile, that kind of atmosphere. You know, just a happy place to be.
Perfect.
I think of quality. You know,
Mhm.
really, I mean, we were always proud to keep our places clean, our bathrooms clean, and have our people look, you know, professional, and, you know, just all quality as far as I was concerned. And, you know, I remember we used to, at the start every year, we'd have a Head Over Heels. That might have even been your idea. I don't remember how it got started.
HOH Day,
Right.
yeah, and then
But-
it has now evolved to HOH Ignite. We do a full week of training. We started that.
Right, and
Nice.
you know, I remember when we started doing that, every year when we went back, I really felt in my heart like we were dealing with a better quality than we had the year before.
Right.
I always felt, and I really felt that way, you know, I felt like we just completely, we were progressing every year to be the best that we could be, you know?
Yeah, so one step forward,
Yep,
just one step. If you try to do more than one step, that's when you fall. So, Gail,
Okay.
Ron, thank you so much.
thank you,
Oh,
Jason, I really, it was really
I
kind of
appreciate
it was nice to walk down memory lane a little bit for us,
Well,
you know, and obviously it was a big part of our life, and we're still so proud of it, you know, and
Yeah, I mean, listen.
personally, I miss it a lot. I mean, Gail really, she is the one that was, you know, back in the bunker, so to speak, you know, all the time, whereas I was out in there, and I haven't been able to replace that, you know,
Yeah.
but Gail's replaced it with golf like 3 or 4 times a week, and then pickleball
She's earned
2 or
it.
3 times a
Yeah.
week. I mean, she's a very, very active person.
No, you guys have earned
I'm
it.
happy for her.
You know, and again, my life wouldn't be where it is without the two of you. You know, you took a chance on me more than once, you know, and allowed me to flex my ego and my muscles at the same time, and I kind of feel like I'm in a really good place, you know, and you kept me grounded. As crazy as I wanted to go, you know, you kind of kept me anchored a little bit, but also let me run when I needed to run,
Hmm.
you know, and
Well, we
and I
always had
appreciate
faith
that.
in you, honestly. We really did. We had faith
Appreciate
in
it.
you. We trusted you, and we knew you. You know,
Yeah.
we knew you. So when people could say whatever they want to say, but we knew you. You know,
Yeah.
so that's the
After
difference.
25, 30 years, you kind of get to know somebody.
Yeah, you do. And we knew that you understood
Yeah.
what was right. You know, and
Well, I got to give props to my parents, you know,
Yeah.
because we come from someplace,
Yep.
you know, and mom and dad shaped me, and you know, obviously Sarah cracked the whip and molded me, and,
Right.
and as did the two of you, you know, and I just hope to do better than you did, and I mean that in a compliment.
Absolutely.
You know, the whole point
Yeah,
is to
we hope
continue to
that.
We hope so,
grow,
too.
and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you know, and then I say that with the utmost respect, and we talk about it in every meeting. You know, every time we want to change something, we're like, it's no disrespect, but we're evolving, we're pushing, and it's the same thing you would have done 10, 15, 20 years ago,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, you know, in closing, you know, people see the buildings, they see the equipment, they see the banners, you know, the competition, but they don't always see who started it all. Because you're a very humble person and you like to stay behind the scenes. So I apologize for throwing you right in the spotlight, but I also thought it was very important to tell the story of Head Over Heels, like as the founder. It's important, I think, for our customers, past, present, and future, to know where this all started and where I'm taking it. You know, it was a family transition. I mean, you know, you've been in my life for more than half my life. I mean, you guys are family. You know, maybe not by blood, but by the family we chose.
Absolutely.
You know, and you've always been very special to myself and Sarah, and you know, for my family and all the families. Thank you for starting this crazy journey that we're all on.
Mhm.
You know, and you know, Ron, you've always been a huge support as well. I mean, aside from, you know, I know Gail and I started first, but we've had our side conversations where you've always been nothing but, you know, supportive and like encouraging. So greatly appreciate it.
Well, believe me, it's We knew
More
that we
than
weren't
one.
wasting our time. Let me tell you that. I mean, we knew that
Thank
you were a very unique individual, and your heart was always in the right place. And so, no matter what, I mean, we had a lot of funny situations
Oh, yeah.
throughout the years. No doubt about
Many
it.
we can't put on a podcast. But yes,
That's
we
true.
do. So until next time, we're going to be sharing, more people behind the magic of Head Over Heels. We're going to unveil more of where we're going, how we raise confident kids. We're going to do some parent Q&As. We're going to do some topics on building more than athletes, community connections with all of our partners. We're going to discuss youth sports today and where they're going. And I'm going to bring in a lot of special guests, friends of mine. And we're really going to make this podcast something that the community can rally around. So while this was just the first, I thought it was a great kickoff. And so until next time, keep building better kids, better families, and better communities. And again, thank you very much, Gail and Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.